Welcome to So Many Receipts. I'm Flo Michelle.
And I'm Shelley Seddon.
And we are two entertainment journos based in Sydney, Australia, who love to analyse and talk about all things reality, TV and pop culture.
Each week on Receipt Roundup, we bring you our take on what's trending.
This week on the show, the return of the man babies on Southern Charm, the cool kids fight on Big Brother, the rise of Britani in The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and a Roni legend in an emotional new doco.
So kicking off with Big Brother, or as I like to call it, Bogans in a Box. And we had a double eviction on Sunday where cranky Granny Jane and Bunnings babe Mia were sent packing. So this is a short season of Big Brother and they need to wrap things up before Christmas.
Because apparently there will be no intruders and rumour has it there will be double eliminations each week. I actually like how they're making these reality seasons shorter. It's kind of more intense.
Yeah. So, Jane was voted out and she went scorched earth on the Big Brother housemates after she left, calling out the boys and their disrespectful behavior. And she also chose Alana as the new head of household. But we may not have seen the last of our Trump-loving senior. She's expressed interest in being the golden bachelorette. So I think I speak for all of Australia when I say no one wants to see that.
Good grief, she is nowhere near glamorous enough or likable enough for that. So we had the Big Brother hotel experiment where Holly, Bruce, Coco and Ed had to wait on housemates hand and foot and only eat microwave meals for 24 hours. Oh, the horror. There was a lot of complaining about the arduous conditions. These snowflakes would not last 5 minutes on Naked and Afraid, where they don't eat food for 3 weeks.
I know, or Survivor.
No.
But the big drama this week was the Cool Kids Party saga, and Holly had to invite people to a VIP party, and they got to eat popcorn and watch movies, and Holly said something to Alana, which got everyone riled up.
So they were watching Emily have a good time, and this is exactly what Holly whispered to Alana. Imagine never being invited to the Cool Kids Party ever in your life on national TV. That's literally why I did it, invited her. Alana was rightly WTF. That is such an elitist thing to say about someone and presume that. Later in the bathroom, Alana confronted Holly and said, you said something like, remember that girl from school who never got invited to sleepovers? Right. And the confusion is that Alana remembered these exact words wrongly. So Holly said, well, I never said that. I said she was a school teacher. And then she started rambling. Oh, look, I meant it in the opposite way. I wanted her to experience this special night. You know, I could have put her on the workers list.
Yeah. So it was confusing, but Alana was just paraphrasing.
But even when Alana said, you know what the intent was, Holly denied she said anything offensive. So look, I tried to give Holly the benefit of the doubt because she says she's neurodivergent and misspeaks. I think maybe what Holly meant about Emily is you're a hardworking teacher, so you never get to do anything nice.
Yeah.
So maybe it was sort of like an analogy of someone who's like a hardworking student at school studying so hard that they never get invited to the cool kids party. Is it possible that's what she meant, or am I reaching? I'm trying to help her out.
I know. I think it's a bit of a stretch. I think Holly thought she was being nice, but it just came out kind of snarky.
I'm not living in her head. I don't know.
Yeah. So I do have to say, it's a bit cringy to see Holly swanning around in her Beverly Hills Hotel and Bungalows robe and her sporty and rich merch. And Colin has been wearing her Beverly Hills Hotel cap. And I cringe for the marketing department every time I see him. This is not their demographic.
No.
A 21-year-old from Wollongong with no job. And in a little dose of karma, I did think it was amusing that Alana gave Holly the job of cleaning toilets this week.
Yeah. So look, I'm confused as to whether viewers like Coco or not. So if you're only watching the edited Big Brother TV show and not the TikTok live stream, it seems like she's a nice girl, right?
Yeah, she seems very open, authentic and genuine.
Right, but I'm seeing people leaving the snake emoji next to her name in social media comments and saying she's two-faced. And I think that's because she confronted the house about bullying and said she doesn't like talking about people behind their backs. But then some viewers say on the live stream that's all she does and that she can't shut up about Holly. It's literally like it's two different shows.
Yeah, well, we've seen, that Coco does have a lot of supporters. So.
Yes, So that's why I'm confused.
So there's also, a backstory that's just come out on TV Week this week, which may endear her to people even more if she chooses to talk about it. In addition to being a single mom of 3, Coco walked away from her broken marriage, left her childcare career after 11 years, and she's also battled some serious health issues. She had 2 tumors in her chest and had to get them removed, and they also had to remove one of her ribs. It just all sounds very full on.
Wow. Maybe they're giving her a particularly good edit.
She's like the sweet Aussie Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, right.
So onto the return of Southern Charm. And I'm sorry to say, I think this show is losing its mojo. I thought the season 11 premiere was quite underwhelming. The show seems tired to me.
Oh, really? See, I love Southern Charm. I would watch these people read out an old phone book on air. I actually enjoyed catching up with them again. It was like these old friends.
Well,
dysfunctional friends.
I wanted to enjoy it, but I think the theme song for the show needs to be Sabrina Carpenter's Man Child, because the show is about a bunch of men who refuse to grow up. Shep is 45. He's a trustafarian. He's never had a real job. Whitney's 57. His job is producing this show. Austin's 38. Craig is 36. And in a preview clip of what's to come, we see all of them yelling at each other at a restaurant.
But I like watching men bitch and fight. It's a nice little break from all the women screeching on all the other shows.
Yeah, true. So I will give Austin and Craig a little grace because they're younger and at least they have projects like Sewing Down South, Trop Hop, and their new restaurant, by the way. And all 4 of them find themselves single once again. Shocker, players. But the show needs strong women. I miss Cameron from way back in the old days. And Madison's great, but she is heavily pregnant. She's in this love bubble and she's not really there to stir the pot this season. And then Venita, Molly, and Salley, they just don't cut it for me. To me, they're friends of and not main characters.
So Molly is earning the easiest paycheck in Bravo history, in my opinion. I still can't believe she's a full-time cast member. Her entire storyline is basically woman who plays a tuba in a community band.
Yes.
Production even rolled out some slightly sleazy friend of Craig's to flirt with her, and she shut it down and started crying because she was going to be late for band rehearsal. Could she not have pretended to have been mildly interested? Like, give me anything, Molly.
Yeah, she did say he was an F-boy, which he is. But yeah, she wasn't really giving it. But luckily, we still have
something.
She has a messy house.
Yeah.
Luckily,
and a new reptile.
Yes, exactly, and frozen mice. But luckily, we still have the ghost of my homegirl Paige. Even though she dumped Craig, her presence still lingers. And Paige got Venita in the divorce, and Venita did some media interviews discussing the breakup and basically saying that Craig was milking the situation for sympathy.
Right.
So Craig rightly had the shits with her, inserting herself into his breakup, and the two are now not speaking. It's creating this big rift in the friend group. Yawn. And to complicate matters, Sally's vibing with Craig, and Salley and Venita have suddenly become best friends because they're like the last 2 women standing. But Salley also has a friend named Charley, who is a chick who's going to join the cast this season, and there is apparently some kind of love triangle with Craig,
which is absolutely a producer in the group chat moment. You can practically hear them saying, "Hey ladies, can I pitch you a totally natural storyline for this season?" The whole Salley and Craig maybe wanting to be together thing, I think it's so staged. And now Venita will suddenly be torn between Team Salley and her old allegiance to Paige. Please, do they think we're going to buy this?
I know. So Craig is also reviewing his relationship with alcohol after telling Austin he was an addict last season on the beach, next to a bottle of champagne. He said that's why he needed to take a step back from his drinking buddy. But now single Craig is back and he's ordering shots.
All these guys are pretty much alcoholics. They're soaking in it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, particularly Shep, he's also apparently revisited his relationship with alcohol.
That's a sane idea.
Yeah, well, after getting blackout drunk at Bravocon a few years ago and vowing to step away from drinking and maybe grow the F up. So at Bravocon this year, he was secretly filmed venting to fans in a hotel lobby. Shep clearly needs a sober coach to accompany him next time he goes to Bravocon because it seems to be a big trigger for him.
The fact that he would shoot his mouth off to total strangers is very Shep.
Yes. And so he was ranting about Paige and Craig's breakup and how they got millions of dollars from Bravo and how Paige broke up with Craig on her podcast, and Craig's taken the high road. He said he was bummed when he heard about Shep's comments but refused to watch the video.
I still love Shep though. Despite effing up at times, he's still got natural charisma. I hope they never get rid of him.
Well, anyway, over at Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the ladies gather for lunch after Mary's sermon to confront Meredith about her in-flight meltdown. So we've got Heather, Mary, Whitney, and Angie offering incriminating eyewitness accounts, and even Lisa admits she's never seen Meredith so upset.
Meanwhile, Meredith breezily insists she simply chatted with a friend for 30 minutes, watched 2 movies and slept.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Move along, move along. But Detective Heather leads this interrogation, asking, well, what movies did she watch if she watched 2 movies? And out of all the possibilities, I have to say, Crazy Rich Asians was not on my bingo card.
I know, that does seem like a random choice.
It's like nearly 10 years old.
Yes.
And Heather keeps on interrogating Meredith, saying, well, if she watched it, what was the big plot twist? And Meredith, of course, can't remember.
Meanwhile, Lisa, who also watched it, blurts out every detail to clear her name. Well, she did get some of it wrong, but she ultimately passed the Crazy Rich Asians test.
She was very pick-me, like, I've got the answers.
Yes.
But it was wild to watch Meredith in deep denial, deploying the classic tactic of just repeating something until people start doubting reality. And honestly, she could just say, look, I was tired and emotional. I popped a Xanax, had a few too many wines, had a meltdown. Sorry, my bad. That would be the end of the story. But I have to mention Lisa, because Lisa meets up with Britani and hilariously downplays her role in this whole debacle. And Britani, who's exasperated, she delivers an instant classic line. It was literally like the 6th worst thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life. So naturally, now we need to know what are the top 5 things that have happened to her.
Surely Bravo is going to give Britani a Real Housewives of Salt Lake City snowflake next season, right? The show is almost revolving around her now. At first I was thinking, why have they kept it such a secret that she's actually a highly accomplished musical theatre star and actress? But now I think it's strategic, because they've just made out like she's this ordinary real estate agent and did the whole Jared Osmond storyline. Because I think they've been slowly building her up as a future star of the show and kind of going to drop this information on us about being a star.
Yeah, well, she says she's now going back to her musical theater roots, and she's just announced she's doing a one-woman show on Broadway on December 5th.
And every social media post she does now, she's singing a bit of a song. So the word is now out. She is actually a professional singer. I have to say she is hands down the best singer-performer to appear on any housewife show ever. I mean, watch out Erica and Countess Luann.
Yeah, so there's some old clips of her singing in musicals, and it's insane. She has such an incredible voice.
Totally. This feels like the start, actually, of the Brittany Bateman era. I can see her as the next Roxy Hart on Chicago on Broadway. The women treat her like she's got such a low skill set when she's actually more talented than any of them.
I know. So she's totally going to be the next Roxy Hart. You heard it here first. And I actually expected a fiery cliffhanger with her and Meredith going head to head. But shockingly, they met, talked, and squashed the beef. And in this episode, we also saw Heather and Whitney dispose of Heather's disgusting 20-year-old mattress. And we saw the return of Muzzy, Bronwyn's mother. And the real cliffhanger is actually in the preview for next week. The women are like in full costume arguing again, as per usual, when Meredith unveils random drug tests. Because of course she does.
Yeah.
Like, what could possibly go wrong? First we had lie detector tests. Now we have random drug tests.
And we see a glimpse of Bronwyn greeting Todd at the airport in yet another blow-up animal costume.
Your favorite.
Grown. Does she have a store loyalty card at Temu?
Well, if this on-screen drama isn't enough, off-screen chaos is looming because Jen Shaw is set to be released from prison in less than 2 weeks. In time for Christmas. Will Andy swoop in for a late night sit-down interview for the finale? Stay tuned.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Yes, it's a Christmas miracle.
This segment is brought to you by the streamer Binge.
Binge have a lot of great shows and docos, and one of my favorite shows is Calling from Accounts.
Oh, yes, that's so good.
It's so cute. But I also love my American content, my CNN and my Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, and one of my current faves is Naked and Afraid Apocalypse. They're in teams in Africa, and they have access to materials from old abandoned houses, etc. So we get to see their tool making skills. And there's also Take My Tumor. Have you seen this?
That cannot possibly be a real show. I mean, Dr. Pimple Popper, maybe, but a show about tumors?
Oh, yeah, it's so good. I mean, this is doctors removing the world's hugest tumors from people, including a young woman's tumor that is so large it's hanging from the back of her neck all the way down to the ground.
Oh, my God. Why don't people get these tumors removed sooner?
Well, I think it's a combination of fear and lack of money, because in the US it's so expensive to remove anything cosmetic, even a bowling ball cosmetic tumor on your side or your back.
Yes, that's true. Healthcare in the US is a mess.
Anyway, if you're down for some really interesting stuff, check out Binge. Now, Rose and Thorn time. And we have finally reached the very end of a very long journey with the Real Housewives of Orange County season 19. It's been like the Kokoda track meets summiting Mount Everest. I know part 3 of the reunion has now screened. And you might be surprised to learn, Shell, after all of our bashing of the episodes and lots of thorns, I'm actually giving this a final rose.
Oh my God. This season was awful. I felt it like this whole thing deserved a thorn. This was a tedious end to a tedious season. We didn't need a 3-part reunion, but the 3-part reunions seem to be like the norm these days.
But hold up, let me justify this rose before you call Bravo.
Go ahead.
And revoke my fan card. The show has been on air for 19 years. Tamara, Heather and Shannon have been around so long, they have revealed everything about themselves, including their blood types. They are flat out of material. So I'm convinced producers sat down and said, okay, team, since the women have nothing left, what if we just make stuff up? And suddenly we've got a season full of mini conspiracies, old Agatha Christie-styled whodunits, mysterious, shadowy outside characters and rabbit holes. And I actually think that was quite innovative, like literally trying to create something out of thin air. And I give that a rose, a B+ for effort, because I absolutely give them credit for trying to reinvent a very old wheel. Where it all came unstuck was that all these little mysteries are just too complicated for audiences to follow. We needed Panadol after every show.
Well, it was all about who leaked things to bloggers. Viewers don't care. It became so convoluted. It just turned boring. And then in this final part, there's yet another last-minute mystery thrown in. Who's the mystery man on the phone to Gretchen, Shannon, and Jen, who said Tamara had told him all the storylines before it had aired?
Well, it had to be someone from production, right? I mean, the whole season was one big setup. Kiki Monique, the blogger, the mystery blogger at the heart of so much of this, works for Andy on Sirius XM radio.
Yeah, so I also think Tamara needs to find another therapist because her therapy is just not working. She says she's trying to be less reactive, but every time Shannon tried to say something, it was just like whack-a-mole and Tamara just beat her down. It's so childish, and she was just screaming at everyone.
Well, she did look kind of medicated during the reunion. Like
She
her
was
eyes were half,
screeching, yeah.
well, but it oscillated between screeching and eyes half shut and kind of slurring and kind of looking out of it. Look, you could never make me hate Tamara. I mean, sure, she occasionally says something correct by accident, but every Superman needs a Lex Luthor. I like the supervillains like Tamara, the polarizing ones. If she wasn't in it, how boring would this show be?
Could it be more boring? I don't know. But, well, she was just on Jeff Lewis Live and said everyone's pretty much shaking in their boots because there was a press release by Bravo that says there's going to be a big cast shakeup and nobody knows what that means.
Right, but if people say get rid of the oldies, get rid of Tamara, Shannon, etc., but they tried that with New York when they ditched all of the OGs. They brought in a whole new crew who everyone loathes, and now we're all begging for the whole cast to be back. I feel like they can't win.
Well, I just feel like they're going into a historic 20th season, and they just invited Vicky back, so I'm not sure how much of a cast shakeup there can really be. You know, obviously Vicky has her relationships with all the OGs. Well, I just hope at least Katie and Gretchers can get the boot.
Yeah, but Tamara has to stay. But I just hope the Trace Amigas can come up with genuine problems to discuss. That's all.
Yes. So my rose this week is for American Prince JFK Jr. It's on SBS On Demand. Yes, my obsession with Carolyn Bessette continues, but in preparation for Ryan Murphy's much anticipated American love story, which tells the story of John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette's relationship, this is your homework. So I just feel like people need to know the real story before the sensationalized version comes out in February.
And this 3-part doco originally aired in August on CNN in America and takes a really good look at JFK Jr.'s life.
Yes, it covers a lot, from the assassination of his father in 1963 when he was just 3 years old, to the launch of his political magazine George, to his marriage to Carolyn Bessette, their tragic deaths in a plane flown by John. It covers a lot of ground.
So I surprisingly enjoyed this
I'm so
series.
glad.
Considering I don't know a lot about the Kennedys and I don't share your obsession, I actually found it really interesting.
Yes, and also
I think anyone would find it interesting.
Yeah. And also one of my favorite housewives of all time, Carol Radziwill from The Real Housewives of New York. She's one of the main narrators. And Carol was married to John's cousin and best friend, Anthony Radziwill. And Carol was also best friends with Carolyn, she makes sure that Carolyn isn't forgotten, because usually it can be all about JFK Jr. But she explains that Carolyn wasn't an ice queen. She was actually really warm and witty and smart.
It's kind of about Carol's life as well, almost. So in the space of 3 weeks in 1999, Carol loses her husband Anthony to cancer and their two best friends. That is unimaginable.
Yes. So
poor woman.
Yes. So obviously the Kennedys are American royalty. That's why it's called American Prince. And there continues to be this fascination with them. And there's been this recent resurgence about John and Carolyn because it was the 25th anniversary of their deaths. And their tight inner circle, they're finally starting to speak because enough time has passed and a lot of new information has come out.
Yeah, because we never heard Carol talk much about it on Roni because it was in her contract not to talk about it. So this is actually the first time I've ever heard her saying anything. The second episode was so interesting to me because we were in magazines in the 90s as well, the golden age of mags, pre-social media, when mags were the driver of popular culture. And when you think about it, George Mag was a freaking clever idea for the time, right? Because there's that old joke that politics is just entertainment gossip but with uglier people.
Yes.
And that is totally true. You could never do a mag like that these days with celebs talking about politics. Can you imagine being the cover girl talking about what she believes in? It would just be way too divisive. Nobody's agent would agree to it, but I could totally see why George worked for 6 years.
Yes, and so this whole legacy is continuing with Jack Schlossberg, who's Caroline Kennedy's son. So he just announced that he's running for Congress and he'll continue the Kennedy political legacy. So Caroline is JFK Jr.'s sister, and she was also the ambassador to Australia for years and years.
She lived here in Sydney?
Yeah, she didn't live here, but she was always here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And for those people like me who know the story inside and out, like there wasn't any new information here, but for those who only know like bits and pieces, this doco, it's a comprehensive look and it's a good primer.
Surely someone has to play Carol in the Ryan Murphy thing, right? She's one of the biggest tragedies in this whole saga. Like, she's the one that had to live with the survivor guilt forever. I read that she only learned about the series when a guy auditioning for the part of her husband contacted her.
Yes. And so I did check on IMDb and they haven't cast a Carol yet, but I agree. Right. She has to be part of it. But I think her book, What Remains, that details this whole tragedy. I've read it a couple of times. It's really excellent.
I feel she's only gone for these young guys ever since because she feels it's safe.
Yeah, well, so she dated this 20-something guy, Adam, on Roni, and she met him through Luann as he dated Luann's niece, and she recently went out with a friend of Harry Styles.
Yeah, see, I think in her mind she feels she'll never be too serious about a young guy because if it ends, it's okay because it won't feel like an enormous loss to her. I can kind of understand why she doesn't want to get married again or be with someone similar to her husband.
Yeah, well, Carol is definitely living her best life. So
yeah. My final rose is for a new true crime doco, and it is a good one. So why would Nathan Carmen kill his grandfather when he was already getting $100,000 a year from him? I think I might know why. This question sits at the heart of the gripping Netflix doco, The Carmen Family Deaths. Nathan was just 19 when he was accused of killing his wealthy grandfather John in 2013.
Yeah, and so he was later accused of killing his mother Linda when their boat sank 3 years later. So 2 members of this prominent Rhode Island family are found dead within a few years of each other, and the last person to see either of them alive was this young member of the family, Nathan Carmen.
This is quite an intriguing family tale. On social media, people have said, I think Nathan was unfairly targeted because he was autistic and also because these crimes were quite complex. They were saying, well, he would have had to have been this criminal mastermind to put it all together and in particular orchestrate the sinking of the boat, which he survived.
Right.
So diagnosed with autism as a boy and later struggling with mental health issues, I believe Nathan killed both of them and acted alone. He was intelligent, and I think he planned it all out.
Yeah, and the documentary does present plenty of evidence to suggest that's the case.
Yes, so the question is why? I think Nathan wanted a lump sum and independence. His grandfather had built a very successful business and was worth $42 million, yet Nathan lived on this allowance from him.
Yeah, so he received $500,000 after his grandfather's death, but through his mother's death, he stood to inherit about $7 million from the family estate.
Yeah, so that's far more than $100K a year. To me, Nathan seemed deeply frustrated. He talked about starting a business but had no job, no experience, was overwhelmed by life. How could he ever match his grandfather's success? He also wrote that he resented his mother for keeping him in a childlike role. I think he wanted to stand on his own 2 feet and maybe in his naive, disordered thinking believed that because they wanted the best for him, maybe this was the only way to achieve it. You know, so did you like the doco?
So not really. I watched for 30 minutes and I wasn't really sucked in, which for me is usually the mark of a good doco. It just takes you in. But it just seemed obvious that the kid did it and it was all about the money. And there wasn't really like some kind of twist like the high school catfish doco where you like have to like watch to see who did it. But I was actually really surprised it rated so highly on Netflix.
I think it's still number 5 in Australia in Netflix movies this week. Well, on social media, a lot of people feel there was a mystery and that they think Nathan was set up. As I said, I don't believe he was set up. But it's a very sad story because the grandfather and the mother actually loved him very much and they tried to help him so much, but it just ended in tragedy for them.
Yes. Well, so for me, I also watched a Netflix doco. I love celebrity docos, and there was a new one on Netflix about Eddie Murphy called Being Eddie. And as much as I wanted to like this, I'm actually giving it a thorn because there's just barely any information about Eddie's personal life.
Yeah.
And he wasn't what I expected. I thought he would be like a Robin Williams type who's always on, but he's actually very softly spoken.
Oh, you wanted him to do bits to camera?
No, I just thought he'd be like a larger than life personality.
Okay.
And despite his huge 80s success with Beverly Hills Cop and Coming to America, Saturday Night Live, he's got that at 19 years old. He actually never went off the rails, which is even more remarkable because he became famous at the same time as Michael Jackson and Prince and Whitney Houston. And he said that they all had this self-destructive aspect to them, but that fortunately he didn't have that. And he doesn't drink or do drugs. And he's actually really spiritual.
I've always liked Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Even though I've only ever watched the Beverly Hills Cop movies, like I never watched Dr. Dolittle or
Shrek.
anything.
How can you not be a mother and not watch Shrek?
I put it on for my kids, but then I went out and drank a glass of wine or something. Anyone symbolic of the 80s, I have a soft spot for them.
Yes. So Eddie says his children are everything to him, and he has 10 kids by 5 baby mamas.
I think he was the spirit animal for Nick Cannon, who also has 10 kids by 5 baby mamas.
Oh my God. Well, so he has 5 kids with his first wife, Nicole, and 2 with his current wife, Paige. And he also has one with Mel B, which I totally forgot about.
Yeah.
And so his wife, Paige, is originally from Perth. I don't know if you know her because I know everyone.
Haven't bumped into her.
And so they've been together for 14 years.
Does she visit with Eddie? Do they walk down the streets of Mount Lawley together?
She did say that she wanted to move back, but I think now that she lives in a big mansion in California, that's not happening. But she was a model and actress, and they met on the set of Big Mama's House 2, where she was an extra. So Paige is barely mentioned in this whole thing. There's no interviews with her or any of the kids, and they're all seen gathering around a table. I just thought it would be nice to know something about them, you know, their age ranges. Did any of them follow him into acting or music? What do they do? There's just no information about these people.
Yeah, I only watched half of this. It just wasn't interesting enough for me. However, I do have my own Eddie Murphy story. So decades ago, I was a producer on that Channel 9 show 20 to 1. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, and I came up with a show called From Celeb Wonder to One Hit Blunder about celebrities who decided to sing even though the world didn't ask them to.
All the housewives.
Yeah. So, yes. So on the list was Bruce Willis, who did a cover of On the Boardwalk. That actually wasn't too bad. Paris Hilton,
yes,
who did an album.
Stars Are Blind. That's a good song.
Heavily auto-tuned, I think.
Yes.
And I said to the EP, we've got to include Eddie Murphy's song Party All the Time. And they played some of it in the doco because I remember in 1985 when it came out thinking, ooh, this is pretty bad. But it somehow reached number 21 here. I remember watching it on Countdown.
Yes. Well, in the States, it reached number 2. I thought it was a catchy song. He recorded it with legendary Rick James, you know, the king of funk.
Yes, that doesn't explain anything though or excuse it. Right. So we had commentators in the segment give their opinion on it, and most of them were not complimentary.
Oh.
Sorry, Eddie, and sorry, Shell.
Yeah.
Also, I have to digress and tell you this other story because I just remembered Mr. Team from the A-Team also had a song called Treat Your Mother Right.
Not I Pity the Fool.
No, in 1984. And the EP said, let's include this. There is a tape of that video clip. It should be in the storeroom. So most of Nine's tapes back then were neatly categorized in this huge warehouse, but the storeroom was this other room with piles and piles of shit everywhere. Tapes in mountains up to the ceiling high. I'm not kidding.
God.
No one had sorted through them ever. So I go into this room and my heart sinks. And after 2 days of searching through like an archaeologist, like on a dig, I looked at some random pile of rubble to my left and saw on a tape in messy handwriting, Mr. T's song. And I was like, oh my God, is this it? And it was. It was the long lost video clip. So that song made it as well.
Oh,
Such a good show.
good. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. I'm Shelley Seddon.
And I'm Fleur Michelle.
Join us next week for So Many Receipts.